When you're in deep in a business with somebody, there are going to be tough times and tough conversations to have. But at the end of the day, if there's honor and love and respect, and that'll get you through.
Thank you for joining us again today. I hope that you will subscribe to the show, hit the like button, and you're going to learn a lot again today from Tate Siemer. Let's talk about the team structure and what that looks like, and how it started to scale and snowball, but why is structure important, and how and managing a team, and how did you do that?
Yeah, you bet. I have a few different thoughts about team and team structure. And especially when you're starting out, my encouragement would be that unless you have somebody that you've worked with a lot and know very, very well, and ideally have worked with in real estate, I don't recommend getting married to a partner in the sense that you're doing every deal together, you're doing all the marketing together, all that stuff, right? Those relationships can develop and do develop, and they're great when they work. And at the same time, if you rush into one and it's not vetted, the relationship isn't really well vetted, you're risking things going sideways or not going very well at times. And so my encouragement to people is to partner with others on a deal by deal basis. And I think that gives you a lot of advantages. Number one, you're getting to know them on a business level pretty intimately, and you're getting to know how they communicate, how they do things. And ultimately, you're determining whether or not you might do business with them in the future. We've got partners that we've done business with that we'd love to work with again. And we've got a few that we love them and we're glad they partner with us, but probably won't do deals with them again. And that's just is what it is. It's not anything personal, but I think that going out, that one of the first things that I coach people to do is to go out and start making those partner connections, like find people that want to do deals, particularly high net worth individuals that may want to sponsor a deal. Like that's usually a piece that most people don't have when they get started. And so real quick side note, the way that we found our sponsor, who's our KP, our key principal, that's not on our core team, but he does almost every deal with us, is we went out and found the biggest, baddest apartment investor in Salt Lake City. And we bought this little 20 unit. We asked him to be on the GP with us for no other reason other than to advise us and kind of look over our shoulder and make sure we weren't making mistakes. And it was the smartest thing we've ever done. He eventually actually invested some money in that deal. He's been our key principal, meaning our main bank loan signer, essentially on at least 5 deals, if not 6 now. He's a good friend. We love working with him, and he's enabled us to do all this stuff that we otherwise never would have been able to do. So again, it started with going out and getting a deal, right? That had legs, that had returns, et cetera, upside. And then once you have that, that's something that's like you can go out and leverage with relationships to start partner relationships. And if you're always in the mindset of like the long game, right? Like this is a long relationship, whether or not this particular deal gets done isn't nearly as important as whether or not this relationship gets started and off on a good foot. So if you have that in mind, it's hard to go wrong, and you will find key people out there, key principals and other type sponsors, deal finders, capital raisers, and other type sponsors that are going to really move your business along.
Yeah, I think that's some wise advice, like partner on a deal by deal basis. And I think you move faster when you're willing to partner, right? Yeah. No doubt. I mean, especially doing large deals like this, it's a partnership business. It is, but it doesn't have to be a permanent partnership, right? And oftentimes it is better to do that deal by deal. And then maybe it does work out, and it's a permanent partnership, or maybe it is still deal by deal, but it's long-term, one way or another. There's different ways to look at it and think about it, no doubt about it. So much due diligence needs to be done on that partner, right?
That's right.
Before you move forward, even on a deal by deal basis. So I just encourage that as well. I appreciate that. What about, your company structure now? Like, what is your team look like? Your power team now? Dive in a little more to that.
Sure. So I have 2 partners at Greenlight. Carl York, I mentioned earlier, he was my first boss when I moved here in '99. He was photography. He owned the photography operation at Snowbird Ski Resort. And you're a skier, aren't you, Whitney? For some reason, I have it in my head
I'm
that
not.
you're a skier.
My
Okay.
Sam, my business partner, is a big skier.
Okay.
The whole family, but no. But he lives in Colorado, so it makes sense.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I had in my head that you were a skier. But anyway, Carl, he and I have been working in real estate together for 11 years, and he's my best friend. Just a massive amount of trust and integrity in our relationship. And we kind of feed off each other, honestly. And that's not to say we don't have tough times and occasional moments of discord and whatnot, but I think that's the case in any real relationship. And when you're in deep in a business with somebody, there are going to be tough times and tough conversations to have. But at the end of the day, if there's honor and love and respect, and that'll get you through. So Carl and I have proven that. And then our third partner is Chelsea Garber, who I met at the Dealmaker Live conference. And we can talk, for a long time about the value of these conferences, but we met in 2019 at Dealmaker Live and stayed in touch. And she ended up moving out from New York to Utah, where I live. And we started working on deals together, and pretty soon we realized that it was a good fit, that it was a good fit with Carl and good fit with me. And so she joined the team, and she's our director of acquisitions. So she and I handle, I'm CEO, captain of the ship, and she and I handle underwriting together and doing the initial due diligence on a deal. Before you write an LOI, we write LOIs. We do a fair amount of marketing stuff together. And then Carl's really our tactician. He's kind of behind the scenes on just about everything, from paying bills to dealing with investors and getting pref payments out and getting newsletters out, and really does all the things that are kind of in the weeds that I don't excel at. And that Chelsea doesn't excel at. Chelsea and I are both kind of big picture, leading from the front, kind of with visionary type people. And Carl really empowers us to do that by doing all the things that he takes care of. So it's a great team. I don't anticipate that we'll be adding partners ever necessarily. I guess never say never, but we're pretty complete, I think, as we are. We do have an executive assistant that lives in Mexico. He's British, but he lives in Mexico, and he's relatively new to the team. He's really kind of the whole team's executive assistant. He's not designated to just one of us. So we're getting him lots of things to do. And yeah, so that's really the team. I mentioned Tim Watkey earlier, the key principal that does most deals with us. He's really the first rung of our power team. And then from there, it's we have a great lender that we work with that we love. We've got great property managers that we love. We didn't always love our property managers, but we do now. Your attorneys are part of your power team.
No
we
doubt.
Deal with them quite a bit, and they're
interesting,
really key.
Interesting, like to have the executive assistants that's like shared amongst the team. I could see that being very helpful until they're too busy, maybe.
Right.
And then you need more, right, or more individual help. When did you hire the first person? When did you bring that first person on as a partner or employee? When did you know that was time to do that, or how did you do it?
Well, I guess you could say Chelsea was kind of our first addition, and we brought her in just as we were starting our 20 unit, which was just before we started acquiring the big properties in 2021. And I guess you could say we knew it was time because it kind of felt right. Like we knew we were getting stuff under contract, and we all three of us had a very similar vision for what we were trying to do. And we hired her to do some design work for us on our one property. She owns a multifamily design firm, actually, and just felt very positive about her. She was all in, and luckily it's gone well. You just never know, like in that situation, how it's going to really go. And luckily it's gone really, really well. I'd say if anything, we're tighter as a team than we've ever been. One side note, Whitney, is earlier in the year, I wrote a Vivid Vision at the kind of the instruction of the book Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. And that has been a game changer for us as CEO. Typically the CEO will write the Vivid Vision for the rest of the company. And that's what I did. It's basically a vision that describes what's going to happen within our company over the next 3 years, from goals, metrics, to culture, to office, to our investors, how we're impacting the lives of residents and investors. All that stuff's in there. It's like a 5-page PDF that we have. And I'm happy to share that with anybody, by the way. That was heavily contributed to by Carl and Chelsea, and I have full buy-in from them on all of it. But it's something kind of like the credibility kit, I think is really just a game changer. So I really recommend the book.
Yeah, I appreciate the book recommendation as well. I think that helps to think through those things and document those things, right? I've started journaling again recently. I've done it years in the past and it's been so fruitful. Then I've got out of the habit and then I've started it again. I thought, man, why did I quit doing it? But one of the first things is like this specific journal asked was like, paint that picture 10 years from now. You're
Right.
like ideal future, right? What does that look like? And it made me think a lot about that, right? I haven't really sat down and thought about that a whole lot over the last bit, but all right, take that vision in. What does that look like? Write it down. And then I start thinking about it over the next day or two, right?
Yeah.
And so, then I start adding things to it but then breaking down how we're going to get there. But if you don't have that vision, it's hard to make a plan to get there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So appreciate the book recommendation, even how the team has grown and what that looks like. But what's been some challenges you've faced when scaling like this? Obviously it's a lot of deals and in a short period of time for most, for sure. I mean, so what's been some challenges that you faced maybe that weren't expected?
Yeah, you bet. I would say the biggest challenge that we've faced is dealing with the implications of owning and managing out of state. It's something that can be done very, very well and very effectively. And I think we've got it pretty well dialed in now, but we just flat out picked a bad property manager in Oklahoma City, just to be real. And of course, I'm not going to say who it was or is, but we got hurt pretty badly by that choice. And the course of, at one of our 3 properties there, we went through, I think, 6 or 7 different on-site managers in about 8 months. And this was already a very distressed property that needed continuity, needed TLC. And we got none of that from who we had hired to do that work for us. And it put our business plan behind probably 6 months at least. And it hurt. And it really drove home the importance of getting that property management piece right. If you do that, if you get it right and get the right property manager into that property for you, it's going to be the night and day difference between success and failure is going to be there. And so that's so key. I can't emphasize that enough. I'm sure you can relate, Whitney. And so having to make a pivot on half our portfolio midstream was very challenging, probably the most challenging thing that we face. So, you want to get referrals on PMs. You want to go see their properties. You want to talk to their residents. You want to talk to their employees. You want to get their track record. You want to see their website, and you want to make sure that everything that you hear and see aligns with what you see as necessary for your property.
Great advice right there. No doubt that's a hard lesson, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it sure is.
That is so difficult, making that transition. And even as we record this, we just launched our own management company and took over 3/4 of our projects as of Monday of this week. So,
wow.
It's been a massive undertaking, but man, there's been some key things there that helped that to go smoother than expected. So what's your all's plan for managing now? What did you all, maybe some lessons learned that you shared, you shared therein, get referrals, talk to employees, go see their properties, right? It's so crucial, right? Go see go secret shop their properties.
Yes.
And so you're talking to those employees and they don't even know that you're who you are, right? You're a potential tenant in their eyes. It changes things a lot. And so what's your all's plan moving forward with management or from what you learned there?
Yeah, basically, I want to say the answer is just choose the right property manager. And there's a lot to that, right? Like there's nothing that takes the place of making that the smartest choice you can make. But that once you have the right property manager in there, you got to manage them. And you got to really manage them. And so we have weekly property management meetings where we go in depth into a KPI tracker. That's a spreadsheet that we have them use and fill out that tracks all of the metrics for vacancies, rentals, turnovers, make readies, et cetera. And so we just are very, very hands-on with our property managers. And luckily now we're in a situation where we really love our property managers. They are excited about what we're doing and are really on board. And we've got great on-site people. So a lot of it is like the who, not how, right? Like picking the right PM to go do the work that they know how to do that maybe you don't even know how to do, because a good property manager has been doing this for a long time and you probably haven't. So I really see it as a who, not how situation.
All right. Tate, I feel like this is like such a great topic to talk about in a moment, especially since, what you've experienced, right? And since you've learned a lot through this process, no doubt about it. So I almost wanted to back up just a little bit to even ask you a little further. What do you feel like were some of the mistakes when you were doing due diligence on the management company that didn't turn out? What were some of the things that maybe you didn't do? I know we talked about a few things that you probably wish you had done, but anything else? I just wanted to give you a moment so the listener can hear that as well. Anything else that you look back and say, we didn't do that for this company, or maybe you can share why you all trusted them or felt like you could trust them, but later you learned otherwise.
Yeah, it's interesting. This was a firm that also offered brokerage services. And we originally started working with them to be good clients, essentially. Like we started working with them as brokers, and we're sourcing deals through them. And eventually we got some good referrals for their property management company. And it just seemed like a good natural shift to make to, if we're using these guys as brokers, why not have them be our property managers? And they check out well as far as referrals, but we didn't go look at their other properties. We didn't ask for a track record with metrics that were meaningful. Those are two things that I would highly recommend doing. We probably should have just spent some more time with the principal, asked him some tough questions, and not just assume that since we were getting along well with his brokers that he would be somebody that would stand in integrity with us when the chips were down. So that's what comes to mind, Whitney, off the top of my head. You just, and sometimes you just get really unlucky. I'd say you can do a lot of the right things or all of the right things. It just kind of doesn't necessarily work out. And I can't say we did all the right things, but I think we got pretty unlucky. And, the flip side is these situations help you count your blessings when things are going well, and make you really appreciate like who you do have in your corner now that you didn't have before. So
yeah, what I appreciate too is you all overcame this. You all learned a ton, applied that, obviously moving forward in a big way, and are willing to share about it, and let us learn from your hard knocks as well. One thing you mentioned earlier too that I feel like so important is that you have to manage your manager. Yeah. And I know for us, we hired an amazing asset manager. And once we brought him on staff, we thought we had a great management company, but then all of a sudden we know a lot more than we've ever known, right? I mean, like this was just his focus, right? Where my business partner and I are doing lots of different things. We're trying to do the asset management as well. But man, when somebody was just focused on that, it's amazing, what they could dive into. Yeah. And so once we had this information, then we had to do something about it, right? I mean, we could see inefficiencies then and so many things. And so that we had not seen before or had vision into. And so now it's like, okay, we got to do something about it. So tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I just first again, Whitney, like just a complete honor to get to share this time with you and share with your listeners. And it's humbling to think that I've even done enough to have a level of experience that's helpful to people, but I get that it is. And so I feel very blessed, and thank you. Best way to get in touch with me is through our website, which is investwithgreenlight.com. And again, there's a link to book an appointment with me. That's no strings attached. We brainstorm your business and your career and what can help you get to the next level. So I'd love to hear from people, really from any source. So yeah.
Thank you for being a loyal listener of the show. Please subscribe and share it with your friends. We want to help you become the passive investor you've always wanted to become, but also the operator you've always wanted to become. We want to be the number one resource for your real estate investing journey. But go to lifebridgecapital.com where you can start investing in real estate today.